This is Southern Cross News with Rachel Williams.
Good evening, everyone. The Gagebrook community is rallying around a family whose house was affected by 2 fires in the last week, including a suspicious blaze last night. Birthday presents for the occupants' children went up in flames, but neighbours have chipped in to help.
Fire investigators examined the scene of a house fire at Gagebrook. This 2-bedroom property going up in flames in the early hours of this morning.
Well, when they arrived, the fire looked like it was coming from the front of the house, so it was venting out through the windows and the front door.
Today, samples taken from inside the house to determine the cause.
Yeah, we take samples just to see whether or not there's any accelerants being placed. The property is vacant. It has been vacant for a couple of days now, and the power was off, so we're looking at all those in the investigation. This place will be demolished at this stage.
The family living here had been in the process of moving out. Earlier this week, the occupant's 4-year-old son got hold of a lighter and accidentally triggered a small fire in the back rooms of the house.
Have your lighters on you at all times and don't let your children touch lighters or anything burnable.
Luckily, most of the family's belongings had been moved after that initial fire. You were thinking of moving that furniture today, weren't you?
Yes, we was meant to come back and grab the rest of the stuff, but I'm glad I got a lot of things out.
The occupants' children were meant to be celebrating birthdays next weekend and in November, but their presents were destroyed in the fires. That's where the community has stepped in to help.
Corinda, a girl that come down to help with the fire, she's give my little girl a lot of birthday presents for her, and the community's been very, very helpful and grateful. I'm very grateful for what they've done for me and my children.
Anyone with information about last night's blaze should contact Crime Stoppers. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
Crash scene examinations are beginning on a busy Hobart Street tonight after a fatal crash on Friday. Our reporter Michelle Wisby is on the scene. Michelle, what's happening there on Davie Street?
Good evening, Rachel. Well, part of this section of Davie Street will be closed for the next 3 hours. As you can see behind me, Tasmania Police are already sectioning off lanes as they continue to investigate the death of a 61-year-old man on Friday morning. The Mangalore man was hit by a car here as he got into the passenger side of his vehicle. Tonight, police are conducting a scene survey. They will close 2 lanes of the road until about 9 p.m, and the road will be closed completely for a period of that time. So, Rachel, police are now urging motorists to be patient or to avoid the area if possible.
OK, thank you for that, Michelle. Michelle Wisby there in Davie Street. Well, uncertainty remains over a new low-cost surgical termination clinic in Tasmania, which is due to open in October. The last service closed its door last year, forcing women to fly to Melbourne to undergo a termination. The new provider is expected to start next month, but no information has been released on who the provider is, where it will be based, how much it will cost, or how often it will be available.
Unless it is a weekly service and unless it provides services in the north and in regional communities, then frankly it is not going to be a service that meets the needs of Tasmanian women.
We're on track to deliver in October as per the Secretary's statement, and we're welcoming the fact that an agreement has been made and it will be delivered in October.
A travel assistance scheme was established to help those who have to travel interstate for the procedure. A motorcyclist who was hit by a car at a busy intersection in Launceston is pleading for motorists to be aware of other road users. Brett Gray was turning left onto Wellington Street yesterday when a car in a turning lane continued going straight. The driver of the sedan knocked the rider to the ground before fleeing the scene. He was treated for minor injuries.
To hit somebody and to drive off, under that helmet is a person that's got a business or a job and a family to go to.
Tasmania Police has now located the female driver, who was an unaccompanied learner. The operators of Australia's most southern railway are pleading for increased funding after a tourist train derailed yesterday. No one was hurt in the incident, but operators say it wouldn't have happened if the site was adequately funded and urgent repairs were made to the tracks.
This is a dilapidated state of the heritage-listed Ida Bay Railway. The 100-year-old track in Tasmania's far south is in need of a significant upgrade if it is to keep operating as a tourism venture.
With our lease, we have to do the maintenance. But this is more, you can't patch something up forever.
Yesterday, the train came to a dramatic standstill, derailed with 36 passengers on board. There were no injuries, but the driver said if the track were in better condition, it would not have happened.
The train split the tracks, went between the tracks, come off and headed for the bush. I couldn't do nothing.
The site is owned by the state government, but attempts to attract increased funding for the upgrades have so far failed. Today, a steampunk festival was held on site. Operators say with increased investment, they could hold regular events and become a premier tourist attraction.
It'd be nice if we could get some help down here to upgrade the railway. Somewhere around about, I think it's about the 1.8 million we'd need to upgrade it to a nice railway.
In a statement, the government said it was the operator's responsibility to maintain the railway line.
And if government can assist us with funding, I mean this railway will go for another 80 years.
Around 10,000 people catch the train here at Ida Bay each year, but drivers are now concerned that if repairs aren't done to the tracks, more accidents could occur.
I'm not prepared to risk myself, my business partner or the public until that track is fixed properly.
For now, the operators say they cannot pour any more of their own money into the venture's future. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
It was one of the busiest nights of the year for police as revellers marked the AFL Grand Final across Tasmania. Breath testing operations were set up today, including this one on the Tasman Highway. Overnight, 19 people were stung for drink driving and drug offences. The highest breath test reading was 4 times the legal limit, a Devonport woman at 0.207. Extra police were registered for patrols and responded to around 60 incidents like noisy parties, disturbances and disputes. Tasmania Police says it was a busy day but praised the majority of Tasmanians for generally good behaviour. Tasmanian wine could soon be found in more places around the world under a new program aimed at building our industry's image. The $600,000 investment will target the US, UK, Hong Kong and domestic markets.
Tasmania's top drops will soon be less of a secret as a new investment focuses on building our wine's reputation both in Australia and overseas.
The key thing is to actually get wine in front of people, to make it available so they can actually taste it.
The $600,000 investment will flow over 4 years. It comes as the state reports its largest grape harvest to date, although more capacity is still needed to enjoy the fruits of higher demand.
At the moment, the demand actually exceeds the supply, and we're one of the few wine regions in the country where that's true.
Wine Tasmania says around half of what we make is consumed locally, with 45% enjoyed on the mainland and only 5% exported overseas.
We've seen a lot of smaller, family-based operations here grow from quite small operations to significant businesses now.
There are particular overseas destinations that are part of this strategic plan, including Asia and the US. We know that those markets recognise the high-quality wine that we produce here in Tasmania.
The wine industry expects to be producing at least 1.5 million cases of wine by 2020. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Some very well-dressed motorcyclists were ripping it up around Hobart today for the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. Looking dapper on their classic and vintage motorbikes, the event raised money for the Movember Foundation in style.
The idea is to dress as gentlemen in dapper apparel, so whether it's bow ties or suits, polished shoes, all those nice things.
$14,000 was raised, which will go towards men's mental health and fighting prostate cancer. The Royal Society of Tasmania has marked its 175th anniversary with a rendition of the play The Laughing Gas Cure. The eccentric performance was comic relief for the group, which hears lectures from specialists about their field of knowledge.
Our object is the advancement of knowledge. That's our motto, and we get marvellous speakers. I always enjoy them. I think everyone that comes does.
The group meets on the 4th Sunday of every month.
Jake Birtwistle has had a disappointing start to the Triathlon Super League. The Tasmanian finished well down the order in today's triple mix event, but he still has another chance to make amends. It's a novel concept considered by some to be even tougher than a regular triathlon. The Super League's mix event puts athletes through the swim, ride and run 3 times each. And Jake Birtwistle didn't adapt as well as he'd like, finishing 11th after the first round before falling outside the top 15 for the second and third. He'll try again tomorrow in the enduro format. Meanwhile, the Australian Junior Motocross Championships are officially underway in Penguin. Today's practice session saw hundreds of riders get a feel for the conditions. The first heats begin tomorrow. And Hobart's Daniel Watkins managed to qualify for both the canoe and kayak semi-finals at his first Slalom World Championships in Rio. He finished outside the top 20 in last night's finals.
Welcome back. We had a cool start today, but mostly clear skies aside from some showers in the west. Hobart and Launceston both warmed up to 19 degrees. Burnie was 16, Devonport 15. St Helens, Maria Island, Grove and Ouse all reached 17 degrees. It was 15 at Flinders Island, 14 at both Smithton and Low Head and 13 at Strahan. From the satellite, we can see broken low cloud over the west of the state today, continuing through Bass Strait and into southern Victoria, courtesy of a high-pressure ridge. And a complex low north of Perth causing cloud over eastern parts of WA. Tomorrow the high centres over New South Wales with one ridge extending along the Queensland coast and another over Tasmania, with a cold front also approaching us from the west. North to northwesterly winds on the coast reaching 20 to 30 knots about the south, with seas up to 2.5 metres. And there is a strong wind warning for southern waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. A mostly sunny day for Hobart tomorrow, 19. Dover, a possible shower, 18. Ouse, 19. Launceston, mostly sunny and 19. Devonport and Scottsdale both fine with a top of 17. Burnie, partly cloudy, 17 degrees. A possible light shower for Strahan, 16. Stanley, 17. St Helens and Swansea both mostly sunny with a top of 19. Ross, 18. Looking ahead to Tuesday, mostly fine, apart from possible showers about the south and west of the state. Wednesday, statewide showers contracting to the southwest and northeast by late afternoon and extending along the north coast through the evening. And mostly fine on Thursday with the chance of a light shower about the north and south coasts. Further north tomorrow, a mostly sunny day across most of the mainland. A top of 21 degrees for Perth, Brisbane 24, Sydney 21 and 23 for Melbourne.
That's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Good night.